All right, today we're going to tackle a really powerful way of looking at risk management, one that might just change how you think about threats, processes, and the big picture strategy. We're going to frame this as a mountain climb, looking at risk from 3 different altitudes that, believe me, when you put them all together, create one heck of a unified strategy for the complex world we're all dealing with.
You know, just like a climber's view changes the higher they get, our understanding of risk works the same way. The view from the base of the mountain is totally different from the view at the summit, right? Well, truly effective risk management means you have to integrate all 3 of these views, the strategic, the structural, and the tactical, into one single unified picture.
And that right there, that's the core challenge. If you're only looking at things from a strategic level, you can be totally blind to the threats right in front of you. On the flip side, if you're only focused on the day-to-day tactical stuff, you can end up running around putting out fires that have nothing to do with your company's actual goals. So let's start our climb and see how we can bring these worlds together.
Okay, our journey begins down here, in the tactical foothills. This is ground level. This is where we're dealing with the immediate, the concrete stuff. You know, the real-world threats and the active incidents that are demanding our attention every single day.
The whole philosophy at this altitude is captured perfectly by the work of Gerald L. Kovacic. The mission here is super simple and direct. Stop bad things from happening. It's all about investigation, it's very hands-on, and it's totally focused on taking action.
And this approach is, well, incredibly practical. It connects risk directly to the actual people trying to do harm, the threat actors, what they want and how they might get it. This makes it so effective for tangible problems like fraud or cybercrime because it's all about stopping a real person from doing a real harmful thing. But, and there's always a but, here's the limitation. While this tactical view is absolutely essential, its laser focus on threats can mean you lose sight of the bigger business goals. You might be winning all the little battles, but are you actually winning the war? To answer that, we've got to start climbing higher.
So, as we move up to the structural ridgeline, our whole perspective starts to shift. We're moving away from just reacting to individual threats, and instead we're focused on building a formal, repeatable system to manage risk consistently across the entire organization.
This altitude is really shaped by the U.S. Department of Defense model. Here, the goal isn't just to stop one incident, it's to protect the overall mission. It's all about building a robust, predictable, and effective risk management machine.
This approach lives and breathes on standardized frameworks and formal analysis. Every single decision is documented, it's repeatable, and it's auditable. This creates a really high degree of consistency and control, which is absolutely critical in big, high-stakes environments, like the military, the government, or even in heavily regulated industries. But the trade-off for all that structure? It's agility. These formal processes can get bogged down in bureaucracy. They can be slow, and that makes it really tough to adapt to new threats that change in the blink of an eye. And it's this inflexibility that forces us to look for an even higher vantage point.
And here we are at the strategic summit. From up here, we can see the entire landscape. The focus shifts completely away from specific threats or processes and toward the ultimate purpose of the organization, achieving its business goals.
This perspective, really championed by thinkers like Deborah S. Herman, looks at risk management as a tool to support business value. See, it's not about trying to eliminate all risk. It's about making smart, informed decisions that help the organization win.
This view is all about asking why. It puts a huge emphasis on balancing risk against business objectives using cost-benefit analysis. It's a continuous, flexible cycle that makes sure security decisions are always aligned with what actually matters to the business. You know, you ask the question, is this really expensive new security control worth the value of the thing it's protecting?
But strategy by itself isn't enough. This high-level view doesn't really tell you how to do things or what to do specifically. It depends a lot on good management judgment, and it absolutely needs the other 2 altitudes to actually work. And this is the crucial point. You can't just stay at the summit. A complete picture means you have to integrate all 3 perspectives.
So let's just pause here for a second and look at this comparison. You've got Herman's business-focused strategy, the DoD's formal process structure, and Kovac's super practical threat-focused tactics. Each one has its own purpose, its own strength, and its own limitation. But what happens when we combine them? Well, that's where the magic happens.
This is where our whole climb comes together. We're coming down from the summit now, but with a complete map in our hands, ready to integrate all 3 of these altitudes into a single, powerful model that gives us the best of all worlds.
A truly resilient risk program makes all 3 altitudes work in harmony. The strategy gives you the why. It makes sure all your efforts are aligned with business value. That strategy then dictates the how, the structured processes that give you consistency. And finally, that structure guides the what, the tactical actions you take to stop real-world threats.
But, and this is so important, it's not a one-way street. This is a dynamic system. Guidance and goals flow down from the top for sure. But just as importantly, feedback and intelligence from the tactical front lines, from the real world, they flow back up. And that information refines and sharpens the overall strategy. It makes the whole system smarter, more adaptive, and ultimately a lot more resilient.
So after climbing this mountain together, the question really becomes personal. How complete is your organization's view of risk? Are you looking at it from just one altitude, or do you have a truly unified view that connects that strategic summit all the way down to the tactical foothills?
Here's a simple framework to take with you. Ask yourselves these 3 critical questions. At the strategic level, are we tied to the business? At the structural level, are our processes consistent and repeatable? And at the tactical level, are we actually effective against the threats we face today? Answering those honestly is the first step toward building a truly resilient strategy for a very complex world. And that's a climb worth making.